Men over 40 often struggle with fat loss, muscle maintenance, and energy levels. And many people assume the solution is simply just to eat fewer calories. But the quality of those calories, the macronutrients, matters just as much. Today I'm going to show you a simple step-by-step guide to tracking macros so you can build a diet that supports fat loss, muscle growth, and metabolic health. Hi, I'm Terry, and I help men age 40 to 75 live a better quality of life through strength training, nutrition, and healthy lifestyle choices. So let's get into today's video. Here's our medical disclaimer, and it's just important to note that your medical practitioner should always be consulted before beginning any new program that involves exercise, nutrition, wellness, or health. So what are macros? Macronutrients, or macros, are the three main nutrients your body needs in large amounts. They are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Each macro plays a different role in the body. Carbohydrates are the body's primary energy source. Protein, of course, supports muscle repair, recovery, and tissue growth. And fats support hormone production and help the body absorb certain vitamins. Tracking macros simply means monitoring how many grams of each nutrient you consume each day. Why do macros matter for energy and performance? So when macros are imbalanced, several problems can occur. Too little carbohydrate can lead to low energy and poor workout performance. Too little protein can actually slow your recovery and lead to muscle loss. Too little dietary fat may negatively affect your hormone production. So balancing macros helps support energy levels, recovery, and overall health. Macro tracking versus calorie counting is very important. Traditional calorie counting focuses only on total calories. Macro tracking, on the other hand, goes deeper. It focuses on the type of calories that you consume. Two diets could contain the same number of calories but have completely different effects on body composition depending on how those calories are distributed between protein, carbs, and fats. That's why macro tracking often produces much better results for people trying to lose fat and maintain muscle. Step one is to calculate your daily calorie needs. The first step is determining how many calories your body needs per day, and this is called your total daily energy expenditure, or your TDEE. To estimate your TDEE, you first calculate your basal metabolic rate, which represents the number of calories your body burns at rest. One commonly used equation is called the Mifflin-St. equation, and you can, if you Google these equations, you can find them very easily online to do these calculations. I won't spend a long time explaining how the intricate details of these calculations, but just to know that you can calculate this very easily with information that's available online. This estimates your resting metabolic rate based on age, weight, and height. Once you know your BMR, you multiply it by an activity factor that you determine to estimate your daily calorie needs. Step two is set your daily macro ratios. Once you know your calorie needs, you divide those calories into macronutrients. Typical macro ranges for a balanced diet include carbohydrates, roughly 45 to 65%, protein, roughly 10 to 35%, and fat, roughly 20 to 35%. However, your macro ratios may vary depending on your goal. For fat loss, generally higher protein intake can help preserve muscle. For muscle gain, higher carbohydrate intake is necessary to support your training performance. So here's a visual on setting your macros based on your goals. So for typical fat loss cutting program, you'll notice here that carbohydrates I've adjusted somewhat lower. Now, the reason for this is that when you want to burn fat, you need to reduce your carbohydrates down to a certain level that you're comfortable. Your protein needs to increase. The percentage of your total that you take in of protein must increase so that you preserve your muscle mass when you're trying to burn fat. Your fat intake doesn't necessarily change a whole lot, but fat is important for older men for testosterone production, so it is important as well. But for typical strength or muscle building program where you're looking to make gains, you need a primary energy source to focus on, and that's your carbohydrates. So the energy that you're expending in a gym lifting weights needs to be fed, and that's with your carbohydrates. So roughly I have here 45% which is a significant increase over fat loss for energy use. And for protein, we just reduced the percentage slightly because of the increase in the carbohydrates, and we maintained fat at no lower than 20% of the total. So you can see there that for cutting, you're looking to reduce, so you would also pair that with a caloric deficit and decrease your carbohydrates. And when you're looking to build, and that is muscle and strength, you increase your carbohydrates for that energy source that you need, and only decrease your protein by a small amount. Step 3, you convert your macros into grams. Macros are tracked in grams. Each macro provides a different number of calories per gram. Protein contains 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram, and fat contains 9 calories per gram. So by converting macro percentages into grams, you can determine exactly how much protein, carbs, and fat you should eat on a daily basis. Then step 4 is track your macros on a daily basis. Once you have your macro targets, the next step is tracking them. There are several ways to do this. You can use macro tracking apps. You can do your own food journal. You can use nutrition labels or food scales. Tracking helps you identify patterns in your diet and make adjustments based on your progress. So many people find that after a few weeks of tracking, they develop a much better understanding of portion size and food composition. Here are the common challenges with this process. Tracking macros can feel overwhelming at first, but remember that perfection is not required. You may miss a meal log or estimate portion sizes occasionally that are incorrect. That's normal. Consistency over time matters far more than perfect daily tracking. So in summary, tracking macros is simply a structured way of understanding what you're eating each day. It helps ensure that your diet provides the right balance of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. When done consistently, macro tracking can support fat loss, muscle growth, and greatly improve your metabolic health. So after watching this video, I hope you appreciate the value of tracking your macros on a daily basis. And if so, if you could hit the like button, please subscribe and stay tuned for my next videos on the Metabolic Reset for Men Over 40 series and strength training, nutrition, and other videos that I do, all geared towards men over 40 health and fitness. Have a great day.